I don't got enough light over here. I'm just trying to work out the show, see if I can, off memorization, see if I can remember. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Guess I'm gonna bend the vine. Open this thing up. Stretch the Bible out a little bit, you know. Okay. It's my Viking ancestor. Oh, the berserker. Okay. Okay, I guess I'll just keep reading it until it mentions Adam, right? Since we're talking about the time before Adam. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning, one day. And God said, "There be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament and separated the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning, a second day. And God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the waters, they were gathered together, he called seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth put forth vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruits bearing fruit." I guess you gotta go with that kind of stuff. You gotta read this stuff a little more. See if I can get to Adam. Let me try again. Want to try again? Let's take it from Genesis 1:9. And God said, "Let the waters under the heavens be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. God called the land earth, and the waters they were gathered together he called seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, "Let the earth put forth vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit in which there's seed, each according to its kind upon the earth." And it was so. The earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed according to their own kinds, and trees bearing fruit in which in their seed, each according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, a third day. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens, to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be lights in the firmament of the heavens, to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heavens to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to separate the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening, and there was evening, and there was morning, a fourth day. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth swarms of living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth across the firmament of the heavens." So God created the great seas, monsters, and every living creature that moves, with which the waters swarm, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let birds multiply on the earth." And there was evening and there was morning, a fifth day. And God said, "Let the earth bring forth living creatures according to their kinds, cattle and creeping things, and beasts of the earth according to their kinds." And it was so. And God made the beasts of the earth according to their kind, and the cattle according to their kind, and everything that creeps upon the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creepy thing that creeps upon the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him, male and female. He created them. And God blessed them, and God said to them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." And God said, "Behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree and seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. And to every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food." And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And there was evening and there was morning, a sixth day. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day, God finished his work which he had done, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. So God blessed the seventh day and hallowed it, because on it God rested from all his work which he had done in creation. These are the generations of heavens and the earth when they were created. So, no mention of Adam and Eve, but he created this place. Made man, made a woman, told them to be fruitful and multiply. and had dominion over all the earth, and all the sea and the earth is to provide for them. And it talks about all of God's creation. So right at this point, before any mention of Adam and Eve, God has completed his creation. No mention of Adam and Eve in the midst of his creation. So Adam must have been some sort of afterthought. Or something other than God's creation. Let's continue. Another, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, when no plant of the field was yet in the earth, and no herb of the field had yet sprung up, for the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was no man to till the ground, but a mist went up from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of dust from the ground, and breathed it into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living being. And the Lord God planted a garden in Eden, in the east, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground the Lord God made to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. A river flowed out of Eden to water the garden, and there it divided and became 4 rivers. The name of the first is Fishon. It is the one which flows around the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of the land is good. Bdellium and onyx stone are there. The name of the second river is Gihon. It is one which flows around the whole land of Cush. And the name of the third river is Tigris, which flows east of Assyria. And the fourth river is Euphrates. So we're talking about this region in here. The Euphrates River, Babylon. So here he's saying that the garden is here. Personally, I think it's Egypt. These lines here represent the bloodlines, which are just basically the skeletons. This one here represents Lucy, which is the Negroid skeleton. This one here represents George, which is the Scandinavian skeleton. And this one here represents Peking Man. So these bloodlines, this is what I'm assuming, and these bloodlines go back almost, 1 million years? So if we're talking about the time before Adam, and he created man and these bloodlines before Adam even showed up, and that's just representing a few generations. So they're basically the same age. And, you know, I just gave some room for migration. Oh, they migrated over here. Scandinavians, this is the Caucasoid bloodline, the Negroid bloodline, and the Mongoloid bloodline. Gonna have to figure out my sermon here. I don't know if how much time you guys can I read for 15 minutes. Can you guys handle me just reading for 15 minutes? Maybe I'll just sit here and read. How should I approach this? I mean, I can get into depth in all sorts of places. Maybe I should just go like stanza by stanza. You know, here it says, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, without a comma. If you put a comma there, the earth was without form and void. If you don't put a comma there, the earth was without form and void, which means without form, without void, with no comma. And also here's, you got God as a noun, and you have heavens and earth, which are not nouns, but actions, you know. So you have a subject of God and two actions called heaven and earth. So I mean, I could talk all night just on the first stanza. I mean, what is it? Like if God had this action, so heaven and earth are actions, God's actions. And apparently one was without form and void. So the earth and the heaven were created in an instant together, but one of them, so heaven, you could say heaven and earth were twins. They were born at the same time, except for one of them was born premature, and darkness fell upon the face of the deep. It was wounded. So God had to, the days of creation weren't actually days of creation, but like creation happened in a second, in a moment, in a flash. And he needed to take 7 days to heal the earth from a premature birth. So we could talk about twins. We can talk about premature birth. We can talk about heaven and earth being actions of some sort, God's actions. I don't know how you would do that, but like, I mean, it's pretty vague in the sense that it says in the beginning. Where's that? By a river, even if it said like, once upon a time there was nothing before, just darkness. So, because it says that darkness came upon the face of the deep. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. So he created heaven and earth, which is some sort of action, and one of his actions, he stumbled. I don't know. How should I go about this show? How should we started off with a song and then just do it stanza by stanza, I guess. Do you want to hear me read or do you want to hear me preach? You know? I just put a word on the board. Because it really was Utopia before Adam, during the 7 days of creation. And man was pretty much kings. They had the good life. The world provided everything for them. It didn't even rain. It talks about plants and herbs. Talks about light and darkness, that when the earth was born premature, darkness fell upon the earth. And then in order to save the earth, it had to separate light from darkness. So at one point, light and darkness were one. And because of the premature birth or the wound, God had to separate light from the darkness. In order to heal. What's our time at? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Let's check it out.